Hey guys, so it's been requested that I do a taming video, and for this video I'm going to use Snowball because I've only had Snowball 3 days, and as you can see he's already quite comfortable with sitting in my hand. So basically I'm just going to go through the methods which I use. So the first method is simply just placing my hand on the bottom of the hamster's cage and seeing if they react to it. So as you can see, Snowball went over to have a little sniff. I would keep my hand there for a couple of minutes before I remove it, just so that they can come over and smell me, or they can climb on my hand if they want to. So once I've done that, if the hamster completely ignores my hand, I would put my hand back in the cage and see how they react to it again. So the next thing that I would do is, if they are comfortable standing on my hand, I would just go over to them and gently brush my finger against them, just to see if they like being touched or not. So I tried this with Blizzard, and Blizzard bit me quite a lot, so that's one thing I have to work on with him, but Snowball doesn't bite. So I could just go over to him and gently brush my finger, and he's quite happy to let me stroke him, which shows me that he's really not bothered at all. So once I've stroked him for about 5 to 10 minutes, the next thing that I would do is, again, I would just place my hand in their cage, and as you can see, Snowball just climbs straight on it. And then I can just lift my hand up off the base, and basically Snowball is just quite comfortable to just sit there and have a little look. So it tells me that he is quite comfortable to just allow me to sort of lift my hand up while he's sitting there. So basically I would lift my hand up gradually. So I'd move it up further each time away from the bottom of the cage, just so that if he does try to jump in the early stages, he won't have a hard landing, and it won't be a very high landing either. So obviously I'm doing it above his cage because there is loads of soft bedding there for him to land on if he does jump. So basically, because of Blizzard bites, what I do with him is I take things a lot slower. So I am still only in the process of stroking him, whereas with Snowball I'm able to pick him up with no problems. So I just take things a lot slower with Blizzard than what I am with Snowball. This method, you know, it could take ages, or it could just take a couple of days to tame a hamster. It really does depend. So basically that is pretty much all I do to tame my hamsters. If they completely ignore my hand and won't go near it, then I will try to pick them up, because otherwise they're never going to learn to be comfortable with my hand. So that's what I had to do with Blizzard. I just had to go over and pick him straight up because he kept biting me and he just didn't like my hand. So I tried picking him up to see how he would react, and he didn't like my hand, so I'm going very, very slowly with him to sort of get him used to the idea. So once the hamsters are comfortable with like sitting in my hand and everything, I would then place a treat in my hand whilst they are just sitting there like this, just so it kind of teaches them that they can take treats out of my hand as well. And then I would then teach them that it is okay for me to touch their feet. So obviously I can't do it on camera, but I would use my other hand and stroke my finger against their feet, because if I check the hamster's claws and teeth and ears like on a daily basis, so I don't want them to be scared when I touch their feet, because I know a lot of hamsters don't like people touching their feet or checking their teeth. So the next stage with Snowball, with taming, is actually teaching him that it's okay for me to check his teeth and touch his ears and his claws, just to make sure they're not overgrown, and to make sure that his ears are fine, and you know, his teeth aren't too long and things like that. So once I've taught them that it's okay to touch their teeth and, well, check their teeth and touch their feet, I would then teach the hamsters to basically go into my pocket of my jacket, because my hamsters really, really like going in my jacket and sleeping, and also I tend to walk around the house with a hamster in my pocket whilst I'm doing other things, such as going into the kitchen and doing the drying up, because if the hamster will just sit in my pocket and most of the time they'll go to sleep. So once I've trained them that it's okay to sort of like not be scared, and they can sit in my pocket and just get comfortable with the idea. So when I first put them in my pocket, I'll make sure that I'm like sitting down, just so that they don't get like too scared or try to jump out. Because if they try to jump out of my pocket, then they will just end up on my leg or even jump onto my bed, which is obviously a soft surface. So once they are comfortable with sitting in my pocket and they don't try to jump out or try to sort of like panic and things, I will then gradually sort of start walking around the house. First of all, I would start by walking around my bedroom, and then I would go further and walk like over to the landing and then down the stairs, and eventually I would just end up walking around the whole house with a hamster in my pocket. So yeah, that is pretty much all of the taming methods I use. Some people don't agree with like what I do, because of I just go into the cage and pick them up sometimes if the hamster isn't prepared to climb on my hand. But different people have different ways of taming. I found this method to be really, really effective. I've only had Snowball 3 days and already he's letting me pick him up, and he's just quite happy to sit in my hand, and he's not even bothered really. So yeah, that is just like a really, really quick taming video. Sorry it was kind of like a bit, I don't know, boring I guess for some people, because I know like some of you may find this like not interesting or whatever. But it was requested quite a lot, so I thought that I would do the video for you. So as you can see, Snowball is quite comfortable to just sit there, and I'm like quite high from his cage now as well. So he's really, really comfortable, and he doesn't try to jump most of the time, and most of the time he will climb up my hand and arm. So yeah, those are just some like taming sort of methods. Some people tend to use like the bathtub method and the taming box method and stuff. I don't even bother with them, seriously. I just use the base of their cage because of it's got their scent on it, and I found that when I used the bathtub method, my hamsters freaked out because the bathtub didn't have their scent in it. So it took me a lot longer to tame them. So I've tamed 11 hamsters up to now with this method which I've just shown you, and it worked brilliantly. I've used the same method with Humbug, and Humbug was tamed within just 3 or 4 days, so it really, really does work for me. But obviously some people may find that other methods work for them, such as the bathtub. So yeah, I'm going to go now and stop babbling, and thank you guys for requesting a video. I think I had about 6 or 7 different people request that I make a taming video. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching. Bye for now.